An African sorcerer swindles $242 million, and nobody notices for 3 years. A man from Mali walks into a bank in Dubai. What happens next sounds too absurd to be true. He convinces the bank director that he is a sorcerer who can double money with the help of jinn and black magic. The result? The director transfers him $242 million over 3 years. The sorcerer flees to America and lives like a king until justice catches up with him. This is the story of Babani Sisoko, the man who orchestrated one of the most audacious frauds in financial history. In 1995, Babani Sisoko travels from the West African nation of Mali to Dubai. The city is an economic hub, a magnet for business people from around the world. Sisoko has a clear objective: the Dubai Islamic Bank, one of the city's largest financial institutions. What happens next is hard to believe. Sisoko enters the main branch and immediately demands to speak with the bank director. The employees are baffled. Normally, nobody just bursts in demanding a meeting with the director. But Sisoko won't back down. For hours he insists, until the message finally reaches the bank director. For reasons that remain unclear, he agrees. At this first meeting, Sisoko requests a car loan. Although he has just arrived in Dubai and presumably doesn't meet the usual requirements, he manages to convince the director. The loan is approved, but Sisoko has bigger plans. Before leaving the office, Sisoko invites the bank director to his home. He promises him an incredible surprise, something the director has never seen in his life. The director hesitates at first, but Sisoko's persistence and his own curiosity win out. He accepts. When the bank director arrives at Sisoko's apartment on the agreed evening, he has no idea what he's getting into. After some small talk, Sisoko leads his guest to a room. As the door opens, the director sees a dark space filled with incense and mysterious objects. It looks like the setting for an occult ritual. Here, Sisoko reveals his supposed gift. He is a sorcerer who can double money with the help of jinn. Give me 100. I'll give you 200. Give me 1 million. I'll give you 2 million. Most people would have fled at this point, but the bank director stays, captivated by curiosity and perhaps also by greed. One must consider, in the 1990s, stories about magic and jinn were far more widespread and taken more seriously than today. The bank director calls a relative and has 100,000 dirhams, about $25,000, brought over. Together, they enter the dark room. Sisoko places the money before him while mystical music plays. He throws substances into the incense burners, causing thick smoke to fill the room. He mumbles incomprehensible words and moves his body in rhythmic motions. Suddenly, the lights go out. In the darkness, a loud crash is heard from an adjacent room. A man rushes out screaming that a jinn has attacked him. Sisoko calms the frightened bank director. The spirits are irritated by his presence. He should step outside for a moment. Waiting outside, the bank director hears more mysterious sounds. Music, movements, even thunder rumbling. He sees flashes of light and smoke seeping under the door. After several minutes, the door opens. Sisoko stands there smiling and points to a table. There lie 200,000 dirhams, double the original amount. The bank director counts the money with his own hands. It's correct. From this moment on, he believes in Sisoko's powers. What he doesn't know? He has just become the victim of an elaborate trick that fraudsters in the 1990s frequently employed. From this point on, the bank director begins regularly transferring money to Sisoko. He even opens a special account for him at the bank. But here, the story becomes completely irrational. The director continues transferring millions, even though Sisoko doesn't return the doubled money. Between 1995 and 1998, the bank director makes an incredible 183 transfers, not only to accounts in Dubai, but also in the USA, Switzerland, and France. The total amount reaches a staggering $242 million. How could this happen? There are several theories. Some believe Sisoko actually used supernatural forces to manipulate the director's mind. Others suspect blackmail. Perhaps Sisoko had compromising material against the director. A third theory suggests the director acted out of fear, as he was already so deeply implicated after the first large transfer that Sisoko could threaten him. The second major question: how could these enormous sums flow out of the bank unnoticed for 3 years? Even if the director was cautious, a bank has accountants, audits, and controls. The most likely explanation is that banking systems were less sophisticated back then, and that several employees were either involved in the fraud or forced into secrecy. After Sisoko receives the first millions, he leaves Dubai and returns to Mali for several months. In his home village of Dabia, he generously distributes gifts, finances projects, and revitalizes the local economy. The villagers revere him and respectfully call him Baba Sura. He becomes their inspiration, their role model. But Sisoko moves on. In early 1996, he flies to New York. There, he opens an account at Citibank, one of America's largest banks. To facilitate access, he marries a bank employee, even though he already has several wives in Africa and Europe. This new connection makes transfers easier. Over $100 million flows from Dubai to America. As a wedding gift, his new wife receives $500,000. Sisoko begins living like a billionaire. He buys private planes, used Boeing 727s, each capable of carrying 180 passengers. His dream is to establish his own airline called Dabia Airlines, but the planes mostly remain grounded. The project fails. This barely bothers Sisoko. He plunges into an unprecedented spending spree. Luxury cars, real estate jewelry. Jewelry store employees report he spent $500,000 in a single visit. Car dealers recount he came weekly and purchased 2 to 4 vehicles each time. In July 1996, Sisoko attempts to buy 2 old military helicopters from the Vietnam War. He claims he wants to use them as air rescue vehicles for his home village, but the US government is suspicious. Couldn't he use the helicopters for drug trafficking or armed conflicts? The purchase request is delayed. Sisoko's impatient associates try to bribe an official with $3,000, but the official reports the bribery attempt, and suddenly Sisoko is wanted. He isn't in America at the time, so Interpol gets involved. Shortly after, he's arrested in Geneva, ironically while trying to open a new bank account there. In Switzerland, Sisoko's eccentricity shows. He has gourmet meals delivered daily by private jet from Paris to his prison cell. The prison director even jokingly asks Sisoko's lawyer to delay the extradition so the staff can continue benefiting from the luxurious food. Sisoko is extradited to Miami, where the bribery case is heard. His lawyer requests release on bail. The prosecution vehemently objects. Sisoko is a flight risk, but Sisoko mobilizes his connections. To the judge's astonishment, dozens of diplomats and high-ranking figures from various countries appear in court to testify for him. The judge later explains he had never seen so many diplomats in a courtroom. To keep Sisoko detained, he sets an astronomical bail, $20 million. To everyone's surprise, Sisoko pays the amount without hesitation. As a thank you, he gifts his legal team 7 luxury cars. While awaiting trial, Sisoko continues living in excess in Miami and donates $300,000 to a music group so they can perform in New York's Thanksgiving parade. He distributes alms to the homeless and polishes his public image. At the hearing, Sisoko surprises his lawyer. Against his advice, he pleads guilty. He probably wants to prevent further investigation into the source of his money. He's sentenced to only 43 days in prison and a $250,000 fine, a mild sentence for a man who stole hundreds of millions. After serving half his sentence, the government offers to let him serve the rest under house arrest if he donates $1 million to a homeless shelter. Sisoko agrees. In March 1998, the entire story explodes. Accountants at Dubai Islamic Bank finally notice the missing sums. The bank director tearfully confesses to a colleague what happened. He is so ashamed he cannot speak the total amount aloud, instead writing it on a piece of paper. 890 million dirhams, $242 million. The news triggers panic. Customers fear for their deposits. Dubai's government intervenes and guarantees all customer funds. The state takes over a large share of the bank to prevent its collapse. The bank director and 16 other bank employees are arrested. All are sentenced to 3 years in prison. Investigations reveal the director and his colleagues personally profited nothing from the money. Everything went to Sisoko. Sisoko himself receives a judgment in absentia as he has returned to Mali. Mali has no extradition agreements, and to protect himself further, Sisoko gets elected to parliament in 2002. His popularity among villagers grants him diplomatic immunity. In the following years, Sisoko's fortune dwindles. He was never good at saving money, only at spending it. His popularity wanes. In 2014, he loses his parliamentary seat and thus his immunity. In 2018, a reporter from one of the channels manages to interview Sisoko in his remote village. He admits to once having over $400 million, more than the known $242 million, suggesting further unknown frauds. When asked where the money went, he shrugs, spent, all gone. He largely denies the fraud against Dubai Islamic Bank. He claims he only took out a car loan. When the reporter mentions the $242 million, he laughs. If I really were a sorcerer, I wouldn't have needed to steal from a bank. In the interview, Sisoko reveals his philosophy. You can never have enough money. Today, you have 10 million and spend it. Tomorrow, you want 20 million. The day after, 40 million. You never get satisfied. Babani Sisoko died in 2021 as a free man in his village. Despite one of the largest bank frauds in history, he spent only a few weeks in prison. The question of exactly how he managed to get a bank director to transfer hundreds of millions over 3 years remains a mystery to this day. We've reached the end of this story. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video. See you in the next one.